What is up, Trey? Happy Thursday for the listeners. You'll be hearing this on Red Friday, or viewers, I guess, if you're on YouTube. So excited to get geared up for the Vikings game this week. In today's show, we'll cover some Chiefs news. We'll get into key AFC matchups, and of course, break down everything to get you ready for Chiefs at Vikings. Trey, how we feeling tonight, my brother?
Hey man, I am great. Chiefs fans, let's get into it another week. Like Dan said, it's gonna be Red Friday when you're listening to this. So
Woo woo.
let's finish the week off strong. Let's go into the weekend, watch some college football, enjoy a Chiefs dub on Sunday. Dan, let's get after it, brother.
Yep, Chiefs dub on Sunday, Mizzou dub on Saturday. That's what I'm looking for, baby.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's dive into this Chiefs news, man.
No doubt. So we'll kick it off with that. Happy birthday, as our good friend Aaron Rodgers said, Mr. Pfizer. Um, that
Clown.
Hey, I
Clown.
like it. I like it, man. I like it. As you know, I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, so I'll take it all, But I'm all about the jokes too, It is what it
Yeah.
is. If it comes back and forth, if you dish him, you got to be able to take it in. So we saw him take a lot of shit over the last 3 years with all the COVID stuff. So it's about time he dishes it back
Ayahuasca, the
out. So
darkness retreat. He's a good sport about most of it, I feel
yes,
like.
yeah, right. No, I agree. So yeah, I'm I'm a player, but nonetheless, Travis Kelce, happy birthday to the man.
Happy
Um,
birthday, 8-7. We gotta rep 8-7. There we go. Get it camera view. Gotta rep 8-7 for the man on the show today. Future Hall of Famer,
yeah,
obviously getting it done on the field and getting it done off the field, baby. I love to see it for Travis Kelce. What's been your
yes, sir.
favorite Kelce moment?
I don't know if I have a specific moment. I think I look at um, the transition of not his play necessarily, but if you look back 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we were concerned that Travis Kelce wasn't going to be able to get his emotions under control. He's a very emotional
Right.
player, right? And he was getting a flag a game, it seemed like, and uh, and so he's turned into a really big leader, a really big part of our community now here in Kansas City, which is
Oh
awesome
yeah.
to see. You and I talk about that so much, how we like to have players on the team that are a part of the community and want to be a part of Kansas City and mingle with the people and do the deal. So personally, that's my favorite part of Travis Kelce, and that's my favorite part about any Chiefs player that comes around is the fact that they want to be a Kansas City. I mean, that's a big deal to me.
Absolutely. I love that answer. That's actually a really good answer. I was just thinking about stuff on the field. I have three moments that always come to my mind. I guess one of the moments was off the field, but in a presser. But really the big moments for me is first and foremost, you talked about the early days of Travis Kelce. I just always think about the time when he threw the towel at the ref.
Yeah,
When he got that flag and then ends up getting ejected. And then yes, that
yeah,
evolution in
that's a good
who he
one.
is today, that leader that he is. But the big moment for me is know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. That's
Yeah,
always gonna be one that I, I always go back to. And
yeah,
then the best moment that I seen in person, we went to LA for the Thursday night football game, 2021 season. We're out there, battle back and forth the entire time. We end up getting a touchdown to take it to overtime, and Travis Kelce scores the game-winning touchdown, and just his celebration at the end pumped the crowd up, and we got to leave happy and continue that undefeated streak on the road,
yeah,
road games that I've gone to at least. And yeah, that's in person probably one of my favorite moments because that game meant so much to that season. It ultimately decided the division right there for that Thursday night game in
sure.
December. So, absolutely, that's my favorite moment.
So, it's been a big question around the Kelsey brothers last couple, I guess really the last year. How many years does Travis Kelsey have left? And does he finish the number one tight end when he's all done?
I think he's already kind of has that locked up. I mean, I feel pretty good about his numbers on the field, his accolades, all the awards that he's accumulated. He's got Super Bowl rings, plural. That's a big piece of it. I mean,
Yes.
maybe get one more and you don't really have an argument at that point, but no one's doing what he's been doing at his level for as long as he's been doing it. Now he's turning 34. Not to
Yeah.
get too far in this rabbit hole here, but I think, he's been defying the age curve that we typically see with NFL players up to this point, and you hope he can sustain that as long as possible, like Jason Witten playing until he was 38, 39, 40. Antonio Gates kind of had the same trajectory with his career, and you really hope that he can sustain it for that much longer. And if not, maybe another tight end stepping up and he's still on the team and that veteran presence, and we get shades of vintage Kelsey here and there, like we're getting with
Yeah.
Mercedes in the back end of his career, and tight ends like that.
Yeah. Personally, I disagree. I think he's gonna go out while he's still on top of his game and just kind of just an old fashioned Irish goodbye and kind of walk out the door, not say anything. I think it's gonna go hand in hand with Jason Kelsey when Jason hangs it up. They have
I've
so much
considered
stuff
that
going
too.
on, outside of the NFL that I think it makes sense for them to walk off together and do something. And that's kind of how I see it. I
Yeah.
honestly I give it like a 2 year max, or maybe not a max, but 2 years is kind of the time frame I'm thinking.
No, I think that would be really cool for them to be able to do that. But that's really it for the Chiefs news as we get into really the meat and potatoes of the show, which is going to be breaking down Week 5 for the AFC as a whole and the Chiefs game. So the AFC Landscape, we're bringing that to you courtesy of E Coffee. Check them out, www.eeroastcoffee.com. You can visit them on IG as well. They have subscriptions, they have espresso. What more could you want from a coffee company and their KC local? So you're supporting the 816 when you purchase coffee from E Coffee, and their story is incredible. If you get a chance to look it over on their website, definitely do so. www.eeroastcoffee.com. So, key matchups for Week 5. Not a lot of AFC on AFC matchups here. Really, it's some interconference showdowns and a lot of big NFC matchups like the Niners and Cowboys. But for the AFC side, I mean, it starts in London with the Jags and the Bills. Those are two playoff contenders as most people see it. And the Buffalo Bills currently sit atop the AFC East with the Jaguars in a four-way tie with the AFC South. What do you think comes of that game? London games are weird. It's always low scoring. It's always going to be something where you get a few surprises. You don't really have a home field situation there. It's almost like a Pro Bowl feel. You look in the crowd and
Yeah.
everyone's got different jerseys on. It's going to be a little different, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on the game and how that can impact the Chiefs long term.
Yeah, I think we see obviously a big test for Trevor Lawrence and his offense to try to continue to elevate their game moving forward into the season. For the Bills, it's just reassuring who they are. We're going to play solid
Mhm.
defense, and Josh Allen's going to come out and be a dominant quarterback. And
Yep.
so, honestly, that's what I expect to see as the Bills come out and roll them. 31-10 and 28-10 kind of a score is kind of my expectation. Maybe get a garbage
Yeah.
touchdown at the end for the Jags with 31-17, 34-17. I could see that as well. So I don't see really being a close game. I think the Jags are still missing a few pieces, and a team that we kind of preseason thought that they were going to be a lot better. That's not the case, and they're going to continue to work through it. They're in a good spot in the division, like you said. Not a tough division, but where they can be 2-2, leading the division, be tied for the division, and still be able to work some things out and be able to
Yep.
to take that division at the end with maybe 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah, I think right now the Bills, they sit 3-1. They take this game over the Jags. It really decreases the margin of error for the Chiefs moving through their schedule. Now they've got a pretty easy gear up going into that Miami game in Germany. They come back from that game. They have the Eagles waiting for them on Monday Night Football. So a lot is going to happen between now and then. But with the Bills, just seeing the way that they're rolling, getting things going, they're definitely going to be a threat to us for the number 1 seed moving through the AFC. And I think this game is going to be a good benchmark for that as well. Next up, we've got the 2-2 Titans taking on the 2-2 Colts. Not a lot to say here in terms of impact to the Chiefs. Really, what you're looking for is one of these AFC South teams to take a leap forward after this first quarter of the season, because ultimately we're going to see one of these teams in the playoffs. And the way that everything's playing out in the AFC South, you're not really sure who's going to rise up to the top. You don't know who the cream of the crop is just quite yet. And the Titans, man, they have such a fierce defense. That's not really a team I think anyone wants to see in the playoffs, and they always play us real tough. So I'm kind of rooting for the Colts in this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a key moment for the Colts to really say, okay, we're a decent football team. We're going to try to make this thing happen. Or okay, yeah, we are in the bottom half of the NFL. We're going to stay there for the rest of the year. But I mean, to the point we were talking about the Jags, we could see the Jags win the division, and neither one of these teams, being the Titans and the Colts, in the playoffs. I think that's how it's going to work out for the South, is that whoever wins the division goes to the playoffs. The other 3 are going to be watching on their couch.
Yep, absolutely. And then to wrap up the final AFC matchup, we're going to talk about Ravens Steelers. AFC North, it always gets gritty and tough in that division when those teams play each other. I know you love to watch those matchups because it's almost like old school football a little bit. It's hard nosed, hard hitting, low scoring. The Steelers, I mean, they play their division really tough. I think they have the personnel to limit Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson looks a little bit rejuvenated coming into this season. He's putting on some vintage 2019 Lamar Jackson moves out there, and Zay Flowers has been a stud for them. I don't think the Steelers are going to win this game, but they certainly have the personnel on defense to make it close and possibly upset.
Yeah, with these division games, man, this is where you could have a solid football team and think you have a good idea of how you're going to beat a team, and then the other team comes out with some extra juice, ready to rock and roll, and not make that happen for you. So that's kind of where I see this. The Steelers haven't been a terrible football team. They're missing a couple key pieces. Quarterback's kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal.
So, yeah,
cog in the machine right there.
yeah, you gotta have the key to turn the car on. So, yeah, I mean, I could see the Steelers pulling this off. The Ravens have been a weird team to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I could see the Steelers winning this. Honestly, both of these teams, Lamar Jackson's not a factor for me anymore. 3 or 4 years ago, there was a lot of, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, where are they at? Where do you put them? And, it's kind of like this. And I'm going to see it like that for the rest of Pat's career. So I don't think Lamar, I don't think Lamar is a factor anymore. Even if we see these guys in January, I'm not worried about that.
I mean, in terms of Lamar being a threat to Mahomes' legacy, I don't think that's anything up for debate, at least not right now. He's got to win more than one playoff game to get to that point, but he's certainly a factor in games. I feel like, I don't know if that's where you were going with it, but Lamar Jackson, man, he's still got the speed. He's still breaking big runs, and he's been finding himself a little bit more as a pocket passer this year, at least from what I've observed. And I don't know. I mean, I think if you're looking at teams in the AFC, the Ravens are among the top 3 or 4 teams that you're going to see in the playoffs. And it's very likely we finally get that matchup with the Ravens in the playoffs with the way things are going to shape out, at least the way they're looking right now. So obviously that's going to be an Arrowhead, right? We're not giving up that home field, at least not in the divisional round. But I truly don't want to see the MVP version of Lamar that we've been getting glimpses of in Arrowhead at all, because he could break a game open. Doesn't matter what kind of defense you're putting on him.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think he's got enough to beat the team. To circle back to my point there, I don't think he's got enough to do it. He doesn't have the pieces around him to make it happen. Even, he could go for 300 and 100 with 3 tutties, and I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think he's got it in him.
What they've taken
we'll
the
wait and
biggest
talk about
loss
that.
on is, yeah, we still have time to really dive into all that, but what the biggest thing the Ravens, for the playoffs at least, what the biggest thing the Ravens have missing for them right now is all the injuries on defense and obviously losing J.K. Dobbins. But I think there's a good chance they take the Steelers down this week and further that lead in the AFC North for sure.
Sure. All right, Dan.
All right.
Let's move. Let's move into the injury report, brother. I'm gonna get us kicked off here with a quick shout out from one of our sponsors, the Atlas Saloon. So talked about the Atlas Saloon a couple of times, but the Atlas was built in 1894. 1894, man. This place is old.
94.
This place was built by Schlitz. Yeah, that's the 18 type, not the 19 type. And so, I mean, you walk into the Atlas and it's like a real saloon. Like you get a vibe like it's an old saloon. It's got that old kind of rusty. It feels comfortable when you walk in there. Our good friend Keith Hudson started brewing beer in there in 2018. He's got 10 craft beers on tap right now. Scottish Ale is their number one rated beer. Number one rated beer is the Scottish Ale. And then just to go through some events real quick that they like to do down there at the Atlas. So Tuesdays they got free pool. Wednesdays is open mic night. Thursdays, this is a special one here. Now listen to this. If you wear an Atlas shirt, you get your first beer free. Don't forget that, Dan. I'm gonna get us some shirts every Thursday.
What about
team
hat?
meeting down
what
the
about
Atlas.
Hat?
Yeah.
Can I rock the hat? I'm gonna talk to beer or what?
I'm gonna talk to Keith about that. But Thursdays they also got live music, and then game days it's a Chiefs party. So anytime the Chiefs are playing, they got a big party down there. Lots of people, lots of food, lots of beers slinging. So make your way down the Atlas Saloon. Be sure to tell Keith and or Jimmy that the Fastest 40 sent you down there, and they'll take care of you.
That's right, buddy. Let's get into this report. Sun shining.
Yes.
Sun shining on the Chiefs' ass right now, man. We've got Jalen Watson, Nick Bolton. Both those guys are coming back. They've been limited participants throughout the week. Jones, Tony, Karlaftis, Drew Tranquill, and L'Jarius Sneed also showed up on the injury report, which is a little surprise to me. But they've been full participants the entire week. So not a lot to worry about there in terms of injuries. Really, the big thing that I'm excited about with this week is that we are one game closer to getting Charles Omenihu back from his 6-game suspension. And I cannot wait to see what this defensive line is going to do with him in the rotation next to Chris Jones and Karlaftis and Mike Dana, who's been popping off. But the injury report's looking great. I mean, I'm knocking on wood, plastic, sheet metal, doesn't matter. I'm knocking on everything to sustain that. But everything's looking pretty good from a health perspective. Shout out Rick Burkholder and that staff taking care of our guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big deal to have a healthy football team, and having fresh legs on the D line, such a big deal. So being able to get somebody else in there, you can rotate, but also here we are in week 5, somebody that hasn't played a game yet this season. Let's get fresh. Let's get some fresh legs in there and make some work happen. So, we're looking solid right now as far as the injury report. Consistency is key. Got to stay consistent on the injury report, baby, and that will take us a long way. So, Dan, let's move into some gambling here. The best bets.
Yeah, so, for our friends on the Kansas side, baby.
Yeah. Soon to be Missouri, man. It's got to be in Missouri at some point.
I know Alex Gold on 610 has been a huge advocate for Missouri betting and getting that up and going. Shout out to him for everything he's doing there because, man, I'm in your corner. Let's make it happen. I cannot wait to live bet a game from my couch.
Yes. Yeah. Or go down to the boat. It's fun down there. The couple of times I've been to Vegas and sat in that room and there's literally 150 TVs and you're just like looking around.
So cool.
Don't know which one to watch. I mean, that's so much fun. That is so much fun.
Being there for the noon slate is just a dream come
Yes.
true.
Yeah. 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 But all right, Dan, I'm gonna run through a couple of these. Kind of give me an
Best
idea where you're
bets.
sitting on these as we're running through them. So right now, money line, Kansas City minus 205, Minnesota's plus 170. How you feeling about that?
Well, you know me, man. I don't bet on the Chiefs. I feel like it's a superstition thing for me. It's a voodoo thing. Anytime I have, last time I bet on the Chiefs was the Ravens Monday night game, and I was in Arizona. My wife and I went down there before we went there for our wedding. So it was the summer before that, or the fall before it. We're on our way to watch the Ravens Chiefs game, and we got rear-ended in our rental car on the side of the road. I missed the entire first quarter, halfway through the second quarter. We got off lucky. There were a couple other cars that had a little bit more damage than us. It was kind of like a 5-car pileup that we were a part of.
Oh,
Eventually,
hell
we
yeah.
were able to get back in the car, get to the bar that we were going to watch the game at, have some dinner, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire ends up fumbling that ball while we were in field goal position, and the Ravens end up winning that game. So that was the last time I bet on the Chiefs. The time before that was the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay. So it's just not going to happen anymore for me. But if you guys
Yeah.
out there and you don't have the same voodoo problem that I have, I like the Chiefs to win this outright. I like the Chiefs to cover the spread at -3.5. I think this is going to be a 6-point win. It opened at 4 points. A lot of the money is moving to Minnesota to cover that because they're at home. But if you're accounting for the 3 points that the home team's already getting, I like the touchdown scenario there. So Kansas City -3.5 is where I would go in that scenario. Now, if it goes back up to 4, if it goes back up to 5, maybe I'm staying away from it a little bit and taking Minnesota on that end. But yeah, KC 3.5. I feel good about that.
So I have a story to share as well with the gambling deal, and it was a Ravens game as well. It was like 3 or 4 years
Uh-oh.
ago, and we were at home and playing the Ravens at home. It was week 2, and I think the spread was 5.5, maybe. We were up 3, I want to say, and it was like a junkyard touchdown with like 2 minutes left. It was the game where it was like 4th and 19, and Pat throws it like 70 yards to Tyreek Hill, and
Oh
Tyreek
yeah,
catches it out of nowhere.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had it. I had the Chiefs not covering at 5.5, and then like 2 minutes left, junkyard touchdown, and they end up covering. And that's when I knew, because I walked out of the stadium a little upset, but we had just won the game. And I was like, okay, something's wrong here. I can't be
Something ain't
betting
right.
against these guys. Yeah, I got to wrap this up. So, um, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'll kind of float around and look at stuff for the Chiefs, but I don't know about playing anything these days. But all right, no
Yeah.
more stories for me. It's just
Yeah.
sad stories,
It's
sad
sad,
stories.
sad defeats.
The spreads for this weekend, Dan. We're looking at Kansas City -3.5, like you said. So it'd be interesting to see kind of where that's headed, and where that's going to finish out in the week. But over under sitting at 52.5. How you feeling about that?
52.5, I feel like is high. I feel like it's a lot of points. The Minnesota defense has not been that great this year. The Kansas City defense has been suffocating at times for opposing teams. So I know the Minnesota offense is high powered. They have Justin Jefferson. They have Jordan Addison who can pop off. TJ Hawkinson's been one of the best tight ends in the NFL this year. Those are all viable points. Kirk Cousins does not do well in primetime games. Luckily for him, this is not one of those scenarios where he's playing in primetime. So he's going to put up some decent yardage, maybe some junk points. But 52.5 just seems a little rich for my blood. I typically don't bet the under unless it's like a Patriots or a Steelers type of game. Or if there's like a bad quarterback bowl situation, then I might look at it that way. But I'm taking the
Yep.
under if I'm betting on this total. I just don't think it's going to hit 52.5. Now Vegas is precise. Okay. It's probably going to get really close. It's probably going to get to 50-51, but I
Yeah.
just don't see it eclipsing 52.5.
Yeah, I disagree. I think I'm taking the over here. I think they can hit. If you look at the Chiefs defense, nobody's scored over 21 against us yet this season. But we also haven't played a Kirk Cousins and a Justin Jefferson. We haven't played that level of duo yet. And so I think we're going to be challenged on the outside to be able to hold up with that. And I think that's where we're going to kind of break down. Maybe it's only 24, but I think I see, a 31-24, a 28-24 kind of a game. And just like you said, man, it's gonna be close. But at that point, I guess 28-24, that's only put me
That
at
puts us at
52.
52, brother.
Nah, yeah, let's stick with 31-24. That's my prediction for final score, 31-24. You heard it here, fastest 40. Red Friday, baby. Let's get
Trey
some.
on the fastest 40. Dan did not say that score.
All right, Dan, props. Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco, rushing yards, 57.5. Give me one.
Over. Taking the over there, man. He's gonna do what he did. Not necessarily exactly what he did against the New York Jets, but he is going to be the workhorse, I think, in that offense. So I'm taking the over on Isaiah Pacheco's rushing yards, 57.5. I think 60 is very attainable.
First touchdown. Travis Kelce plus 600 or Justin Jefferson at plus 750.
I love the odds on Justin Jefferson's first touchdown. He is the primary read in that offense. You talked about it already. Him and Kirk Cousins, they have a really solid connection. Justin Jefferson early makes a lot of sense to me at plus 750. That's just really, really tempting. Travis Kelce at plus 600, also juicy. I think I'm leaning towards Jefferson as a first touchdown, though, and this is why. Andy Reid is prime when it comes to the coin toss. His teams, for whatever reason, typically win that, and they typically defer. So the Vikings are getting the ball first. I'm going with the Vikings player, and there's no one else I'm picking over Justin Jefferson on that offense to score the first TD.
Here's a little bit of advice from myself. Pat is going to score a rushing touchdown at some point this year, or he's gonna, he's gonna put one in the end zone on the feet, first touchdown. I don't know when. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet. I haven't come back from the future to tell you guys anything, but it is going to happen.
Get in that DeLorean. You got to tell me, man. You can't just be going without consulting with your boy.
You got to drop $5 or $10 on that every week, and that's going to pay out at some point. And if the week it pays out, you cut it off. You cut it off. You're done. You're done.
Or else Vegas wins.
Yes. Pat Mahomes rushing 25.5. What do you got?
Hard not to take the over there, considering he's our leading rusher on the team. But I just don't know. I feel like most of the reasons why he's been rushing so much is because of broken plays. And I just don't trust the Minnesota defense to put us in that position enough for him to break on those broken plays, because we're never designing runs for Patrick Mahomes. It's just not something we do. Andy Reid would have a fit if Matt Nagy called a play like that where he's doing a read option. So all of his broken plays, I'm not saying he's not going to scamper for a couple runs here and there, grab a first down here and there. 25.5. I think there's a reason why Vegas has this so low, and they might be on the same page as me. So I'm going under on that one today.
Okay. Travis Kelce, receiving yards, 77.5 over under.
I like the over. I think Kelsey's going to be on. This is going to spark something big for Travis Kelce, where he's going to start rolling. Take the over on the yards.
I'm taking the under on that. So I'm looking at some stats here now. First game he played was obviously week 2, 26 yards. Week 3, when we routed the Bears, only 69 yards. And then last weekend, 60 yards. Taking the under on that, man. Taking the under.
There you go.
And then pass touchdowns here, Dan, 2.5 for Pat Mahomes, over under.
I like the under on the Mahomes touchdown prop.
And then Kirk Cousins, 1.5.
Over. He's throwing 2.
Yeah. Yep. Love that. Love that. All right, Dan, we're going to jump into a little part here and talk about how we lose, how we win. So, Dan, before we jump into how the Vikings can win this football game against Kansas City Chiefs, I want to do another shout out to another sponsor here, Better Homes and Garden, specifically Katie Lawrence. She's a premier real estate agent in the Kansas City area. So, if you and your family are looking for a new home or looking to sell your home and move into your parents' basement, she is the person for you. She will get that house sold. So, whether you're looking to sell, buy, build, or whatever your dreams may have in store for you, Katie is going to take care of you. And I know she does great because she's my wife. So be sure to
And she's
get a hold of
always
my wife. Yes. So get a hold of Katie Lawrence if you have a house to buy or sell, and she'll make that happen for you. And she takes great care of all of her customers. So Dan, the Vikings, how can they pull this off and beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday?
man, I think, they have home field advantage. Obviously, that's a big factor that's going to play in their favor. The Vikings win this game with offense. They do not get it done with their defensive side of the ball. Now, Justin Jefferson, I talked about the weapons already. Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, and then their two running backs, Cam Akers and Alexander Madison. They can pop off at any time. Kirk Cousins has the ability to be that quarterback that throws 3 interceptions and a touchdown with 250 yards passing, or he can be that guy that throws 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, and protects the ball really well. So
Yeah.
with this game, it would have to be a situation where their offense is clicking. Our defense maybe regresses a little bit and allows that sort of situation to happen. And it would be a situation where, maybe they get to a point where there's a late game turnover by the Chiefs and the Vikings end up capitalizing on one of those types of situations. That's kind of where I'm looking at it. The big thing is going to be their offense and how well they can perform against our defense. I think that's the key matchup for the Vikings in this game here. And their offensive line has not been the greatest this year. Darisal's been hurt, who's their star left tackle. They really don't have a lot of prime offensive linemen outside of him. So I could just see our defense really forcing the pressure. But if we're not able to get to that point, then I think Kirk and the rest of that Vikings defense has potential to get us.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And if looking back at week 3, I think that's
Oh,
a
I didn't
big.
even see that.
I think that's a big kicker there. If we see week 3, Kirk Cousins, that's what's going to drive this. And quite honestly, I think the Chiefs need a game like that where we have a shootout. Pat Mahomes has got to come out and shoot the ball. Go touchdown for touchdown with whoever he's playing against. And just quick stats on Kirk from week 3: 70% completion, 364 yards, 4 tutties, and 0 picks. Still didn't win the game.
Mm-mm.
So, if we come out and it's 28-28, 6 minutes left in the fourth, I think that's kind of where this offense needs and will gel. Pat and the receivers kind of need a game like that to where, hey, we gotta do this now because Kirk could come back and throw another touchdown here. We may have to do this 2 or 3 more times to win this
Right.
football game. It's not just a one and done, kind of like last weekend with the New York Jets. Not a lot of threat there from Zach Wilson to come back and do it again. He had that one drive to tie it up and look good, but nobody thought that he was going to come back and do it again. We didn't give him time to, which is great coaching, but
Yeah.
that's what if Kirk Cousins has a game like that, changes the scenario a little bit there for our football team.
100%. What gives me confidence at the end of the day is that the Vikings just have not been able to close. They haven't been able to close games out. Last year, they won, I want to say it was 14 or
11.
15 games by, how much was it?
11 games.
11 games, yeah, by less than a possession, or by one possession,
Yep.
less than possession, by
Yep.
one
Yep.
possession. So I mean, they're regressing to the mean at this point in the season. The first quarter of the season, they've gone 1-3. 3 of those matchups that they lost were against the Chargers, Eagles, and Buccaneers. The Eagles and Chargers, I mean, those were just situations where they blew it at the back end of the game and really couldn't get it together to capitalize on that. And they almost blew it against the Panthers early in that game. The
Yep.
Panthers had the lead on them for the first half, and they had a third quarter explosion, luckily, and were able to seal the victory there. But a lot of luck went the Vikings' way last year to get them to the point that they were at, and it's just not playing out that way for them so far. So Evan O'Connell, he's got a lot to figure out in terms of closing out a game, and that's playing in the Chiefs' advantage, I think, this week.
Yep. Yep. And you kind of pushed me off into the keys to victory there, and I'll jump
There we
straight
go.
into that, Dan. For me, I got two big topics for keys to victory. One, ground and pound. Force the ball down their throat, just like we did last week. Yeah, it was a close football game, but it's the offense starts with the ground and pound. If you can get those guys out on the edge, that's going to develop that coordination between Pat and his receivers. So I think that is very important for this offense to get the ball on the ground, establish the running game. But the second point here I have is win the coaching battle. Kevin O'Connell, like you said, multiple times last year, 11 to be specific, won those games by one possession. So if obviously now them not being as successful as they were last year, that team is battling a lot of adversity. So Coach Andy Reid and I specifically look to special teams and areas like this or games like this to pick at those teams, expose those weaknesses in coaching, because when you have weaknesses in coaching, it's exposed in special teams, and then specifically defense, and then to the offense. So for me, Andy Reid's got to have a flawless game, and the rest of his coach staff's got to have a flawless game, and that's how we're going to expose the Vikings and really lay it on them.
Absolutely. With some of the pieces that I've been looking at, ways that we can get this dub over the Vikings as well as just to pressure Kirk Cousins. We've seen what happens whenever Kirk gets under duress. He's just not quite himself. Throws a few more picks. Doesn't make those confident throws that you tend to see from him. So far through the season,
Yep.
he's been sacked at least 2 times each game, including a 4-sack game against the Chargers in week 2. I'm sorry, week 3. And in terms of our defense, we were the second highest sack team last year. We've seen what Chris Jones has been able to do up to this point, 3.5 sacks. Mike Dan has been playing really well. I could just see us really putting the clamps down on Kirk Cousins this Sunday, and that being the reason why we win this game. Now, at the end of the day, Justin Jefferson is also their biggest weapon. So
Yep.
we have to limit him too. Make them beat us in other ways. Let it be Jordan Addison or Alexander Madison who is getting put in a position to have to make that key play. Easier said than done because
Oh
Justin
yeah.
Jefferson is the best receiver in the league, right?
Yes.
But
Yep. Yep.
but
Monster.
if you're able to limit him even to just 70, 80 yards in that range, then I think you've done your job at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a great point, and it's tough to stop dudes like that. You the best are the best for a reason, and you have to do what you can to limit it. And like you said, man, you got to force that game into other avenues so that you can control the game as much as possible.
100%.
So,
Absolutely. Those are the keys to the game, man. I am so excited for this Sunday. What are your plans for the Vikings Chiefs game? What are you doing?
Dan, I'm having a watch party. You were invited.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, watch party out at the house this weekend. So we always smoke meat. Always barbecuing. but we're gonna change it up Sunday. I did pull a pulled pork or a pork butt out, but I'm gonna chop it up, and then
Ah,
instead of like barbecue rub, I'm doing like taco seasoning. And we're gonna have uh, tacos. So
you gonna do like barbecue sauce on the taco with some like pickled red onions and stuff, or is it gonna be
no,
traditional
no,
taco dressing?
traditional tacos, baby. I'm gonna get some
Okay, I love that.
salsa verde.
Dude, are you okay? Hold on. This is important. Are you roasting those tomatillos and serranos and jalapenos yourself?
No, man, it's called the grocery store, bro.
Nah, brother. Throw those on the smoker. Throw those on the smoker. Get them soft, get them charred, throw them in a blender, and you're good.
Understood. Too
All
easy.
you got to do.
Too easy. Too
It's gonna
easy.
be delicious, dude. I wish I was gonna be there. My little brother, who is in the U.S. Army, he is coming home for a week, so I'm so glad to welcome him back. Appreciate anyone
Yeah.
out there listening who has served, including Trey, who is currently serving for us. Appreciate you too, brother. So excited to have him home and celebrate his 21st birthday. So
Sheesh.
we're gonna go to a sports bar, and I'm gonna order him his first beer, first legal beer, and we're gonna watch some Chiefs. So I'm very excited for this game and to get to spend some time with him. So wish I was with you, but I hope you understand it's for a good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, happy birthday, Nicholas. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. But Chiefs fans, this is wrapping up the second show of the week. Come back next Tuesday for the next show. Be sure
Oh
you
yeah,
watch this, share with your friends, and let's have a phenomenal weekend. Let's go,
go
Chiefs!
Chiefs!